Yes, now for our second headline of today's show, I'm joined in studio by our defense correspondent, Anna Ehrenheim. Anna, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Anna, this is an unlikely story. A 24-year-old Islamic State sympathizer in Ontario caught by police. He must have been under surveillance for quite some time.
He was actually released on a peace bond in June of last year, I believe. So he has been on police radar for at least since 2014. This individual was killed after he detonated a bomb, injuring a cab driver in Strathroy, Ontario, which is near London. He had lived in Winnipeg, where he was placed on this peace bond. He had been radicalized after he converted to Islam. His wife, not his wife, but his girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and he had come from a very troubled background. His mother had died at an early age. He did not get along well with his father. He was in foster care, and when his girlfriend got pregnant, he said, I need to grow up. I have a lot of responsibilities coming my way. And that's when he found Islam, and that's when he converted, and it seems that that's also when he was radicalized.
And we know also, Anna, that he said that Muslims do not belong in the West, that they cannot be immersed in Western culture.
Exactly. He gave an interview to Canadian media saying, I'm not a threat, but Muslims should not be in the West. We don't belong here. Our cultures do not jive together that well. Our religions don't go together well. We need to live as Muslims under Sharia law in Muslim countries.
And Anna, what about the threat of radicalization in Canada? This seems something that we rarely ever touch on. What do we know about how to what extent Canada is dealing with this, and how?
It's actually a very big threat, and Canadian media and even Canadian academics have been working very hard to figure out why this is happening in Canada. And there was a very large group, quite recently actually, coming out of Quebec, coming out of Montreal. These young, probably around 17 to 20 years old, a group of five of them left Canada and tried to go to Syria. A number were caught before they left. Some made it to Syria. There were also a group that came out of Calgary, which is on the west coast, which is about 5 hours flight from Montreal. And they left, also converts, left Calgary, went to Syria. A number of them were killed. It's a very big issue. And 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago, there was 3 attacks that happened by Islamic State supporters in Canada, including in Canada's government, in the parliament in Ottawa. And an individual was killed there, a soldier was killed there. So it's a very big issue. It's been a very big issue for a while now, but it's something that academics and de-radicalization centers are really working hard to do, and there are very successful programs coming out of Canada, including one that's working, it's the Romeo Dallaire program. It's working with a former Islamist radical. And he was actually partaking in bringing down the Toronto 18, which a number of years ago was a group of 18 individuals in Toronto who were inspired by Al-Qaeda, who wanted to carry out a large attack in Toronto, a very large city in Canada, as well as trying to behead the Prime Minister.
It's interesting, Anna, that it's called the peace bond. It almost seems ironic, but luckily only one person was injured in this bomb attack.
Yeah.
And the man behind it was killed. And the threat of terror in Canada seems to now be making headlines. Maybe this too will help in the fight against radicalization in the country. Anna Ehrenheim, thank you very much for joining me for this.
Thank you.